Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast that, like the introductory press conference, could be done entirely by ChatGPT. My name is Nate Heininger, and I am joined by my co-host, Ben Samorka.
Hey, Nate H.
If you have an idea for the opening bit, text or leave us a voicemail at 848-48-BIRDS. And thank you to whoever you are out there that texted that intro in. Of course, we talked about that a little bit on last week's episode. And I think you and I have talked about this to some degree. Like, there's enough Ben and Nate content, I think, now, as we barrel towards episode 200, which is kind of wild. That we probably could just create AI Nate and Ben, feed it some like FanGraphs articles or whatever, and just completely automate the podcast going forward, which would probably be an improvement for everyone. What do you think?
Yeah. Would people notice? I think that's the thing that makes me sad to think about. Would anyone notice? But I think what's more scary is the fact that there is so much of a digital footprint of me out there and my voice that somebody could really make me say whatever they want to if they had the time and the means. I think I've said
what power they hold.
Yeah. So I don't know. Would people notice? Maybe. I do know that AI podcasts are a thing.
Yes.
And I don't think I understand why somebody would be compelled to make one and why somebody else would be compelled to listen to one. But people are listening to this, so, who knows?
Yeah, who knows? The market is impossible to predict. But I have stumbled upon a AI podcast, and I went and left it a review saying this is an AI podcast. It is just being fed articles. It's just straight up using that Google Notebook app that it has some useful purposes for like individual use, but just generating a podcast is insane. And the podcast was dead like a month later, so I think I killed it.
Yeah.
But I can understand why someone would want to, but why anyone would want to listen to it unless it was like set up as this is an automated way for you to ingest news articles or something like that. But this one was like presented as a real article, like a real podcast with hosts and stuff. And it was like, this is just the voices of the Google Notebook app. Like it is clearly this thing, and it was bad. So I guess stay vigilant, everybody.
Yeah.
But also,
yeah.
Through this, we are become immortal. Nate and Ben may exist beyond these worldly bodies.
Until the EMP goes off.
Of course.
So
the great data center in the
right.
sky, runs out.
Yeah. I don't think immortal is the right word, but we are. We are. I guess forever.
It's immortal. It's immortal.
All right.
Well, you and I, we didn't even talk about it on the podcast last week. We just spent the weekend together again. You at my house. We were at one of the weddings. We had the bachelor party, the double bachelor party a couple weekends ago, and this was one of the weddings connected to that. And it was nice. I ran the half marathon, so I'm here today. I survived. Hambone, I think I might have broken my foot, though.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was fine. I mean, the fine is relative speaking. I completed the race. I then went to a wedding. So in one day, I did a half marathon and went to a wedding. Monday, I was okay. And then now Tuesday and Wednesday, it hurts to put pressure on my foot. So I've been hobbling around. So I don't know.
You may remember when I ran my half marathon, I decided to go on a 5-mile hike in the park that we were running at the next day.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure on mile 4.5 of that hike, I encountered a stress fracture. So I bet running all day, and then going to a wedding and palling around and dancing and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially the same. I mean, not the same thing, but you know what I'm saying. It's the same. I bet you did. I bet you
Yeah,
did.
I don't know for sure because I've never felt this before, but like my first thought was this feels to me like what maybe a stress fracture would feel like, or maybe some sort of bone bruise. It's just weird to me that it didn't start happening until Tuesday, but that is in line with your experience. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And the best thing is there's nothing you can really do. Just kind of ride that one out.
We love that, don't we? I love it
Yeah.
when there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
This is why we need AI bodies also.
AI
But
bodies.
yeah, it makes sense. Don't think too much about it. But it was
Say
it was a
more.
good
Okay.
it was a good weekend. You convinced me to lick a rock, so we loved that. It was a rock shaped like a skull though, so it could have been candy.
I did.
I'm glad you don't remember this.
I don't remember that at all.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was a nice weekend. I don't know. I don't think anything else to report from the weekend. I had you in my house, and it still smells in here a little bit.
Yeah. I knocked the power out in your entire upstairs of your house.
Yeah, we've been dealing with some power issues here, and this recording may be interrupted by an electrician. We'll see.
And I guess I'll just get in a quick jab. I hate St. Louis for being 80 something degrees in October and making me sweat.
Yeah. Well, you missed it by a week. It's beautiful here now. We finally got fall. Second summer or whatever is done, I think. Knock on wood. Because it is quite lovely here. In fact, you and I are Beanie Boys today. Look at us. We're both wearing, we look like little elves. Where you got a blue hat on, I got a red hat on.
You know what? I just realized that I do need to report. So I went out with some friends last night. We do a trivia night. We do fairly regularly, although we had fallen off, but we got back into the game last night. And it was cold out, which was great. Wearing my sweating shirt, wearing my toque to stay warm. The fires were going. Yeah. And Nate, you won't believe this.
What?
We got first place.
I don't believe it. Was there no one else competing?
There was quite a few teams. There was like 15 teams, and we got first place. I don't know if you don't do anything, so I'm sure you've never done a Geeks Who Drink. But we jokered on the final round. We leapfrog like 8 or 9 teams. First place. You know what the first place prize was, Nate?
$20 gift card to wherever
$60 voucher.
It was close.
$60.
Well, that's pretty good. Buy a drink or two.
Oh yeah, a drink or two. What are you drinking?
Only the finest, of course.
Yeah, that's beers for all next round. I was pretty excited about that. So
hell yeah, brother.
We won. I'm a champion.
Questions like 2 + 2. What is this color? Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just all the other people are so stupid. Hard to find a game like that.
It is. But you find enough elementary schools, I guess you can win somewhere. Hambone, I've got a new segment for you. So I gave you a box. I gave you a little box, and I said, take this home with you, but do not open it. It would have been funny if it was just full of bullets or something and you got stopped at TSA, but you made it through TSA without a problem. So it was not just an elaborate bit.
That would have been good.
But a couple months ago on the show, you and I broke down an event where Wilson Contreras threw a bucket of haichu onto the field.
And you didn't know what a haichu was.
Well, but neither did you. Knew it more what it was than I did, but both of us weren't quite sure exactly what haichu is like. So, Hambone, open up that little box.
I've had hundreds of haichu. If this is just a box of haichus, I've had hundreds of haichus.
It is a little box of haichu. So he's opening the box. I think he's unnecessarily using a knife or something. There we go. So Hambone, wow. I wanted you to participate in this with me.
Half-eaten haichus. Somebody's been eating these.
I've got the other half. So I thought we would have some haichu here on the show in honor of of Wilson Contreras. We'd explain to our fans exactly what haichu is, and we would rectify the wrong that I guess I had made in the previous episode.
I'm not trying to blow you up or anything like that, but I just want to be very clear. I've had many haichus for many years. I just want to be. I never come off as a liar.
So will you what flavors have you got there?
I'm breaking into the mango. Is it just mango? Yeah, I think it's just a mango one. Although somebody ripped up my package, so I can't tell if there's more or if it's just straight up mango.
It was rats. I think it's just mango.
Okay.
And what we're going to decide is did this haichu deserve to get thrown onto the field by Wilson Contreras?
So I've got it's kind of yellow interior.
I've got a grape one here.
Oh wait, well should I eat? I have grape too. Should I eat the grape one? What are you doing?
Well, we can each have one of each. How about that?
Okay, well, I'm going to start with the grape because that's what you're eating, so we can have the same thing at the same time. It's a very chewy candy, so it's going to be a little hard to chat through this.
This is chewy.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, I can feel my jaw popping.
I wonder if everyone can hear us chewing. Oh. So it's kind of like a mamba, but I think it is chewier.
Okay, but now I don't want to drop a bombshell on you, Nate.
Yeah.
I've never had a mamba.
What the fuck? I've had hundreds of thousands of mambas in my life. Is this good podcast?
This is delicious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think I told you before we hopped on I hadn't had a chance to eat yet today, so it's a nice little lunch right here.
I'm doing you a service. Yeah, that was really tasty. It's like not as juicy as like a Starburst. Kind of like almost like a waxy chewy. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Very, very chewy. It's chew forward over anything. Oh God, I just threw mine. All right, picked it back up. I'm going in for the mango now.
Yeah, me too.
Really, almost get my jaw going here.
Yeah. It almost first feels like you're putting a piece of soap in your mouth.
However, it does not taste like soap in my mouth. I don't feel like I just cursed in front of my grandparents. I feel like I get a special little treat.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, Nate, this one is the mango is better than the grape. So, I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast, but, we bought a new house last December.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a new house. It's October. Well, a new to me house. It's October. Yeah. I'm very curious what our trick-or-treat situation is going to be.
Oh, sure.
Last couple of years, I've went out and dropped way too much money on candy, hoping that I was going to make some kids' days, some little trick-or-treaters, only to be totally ghosted by every kid on the block. I don't know what I'm going to do this year.
Yeah, well, I know all your neighbors already hate you. Otherwise, I would say ask them. But I would think in your location, you won't have a ton of trick-or-treaters. Only because there's a lot of it's a lot of commercial and apartment buildings and things like that, right?
I mean, I guess.
At least you're in. Yeah, I don't know. I would have thought you would have had a lot at the last place, though. And I would think that I would have a lot in my neighborhood, and we don't have very many either. We go out to a different neighborhood because there's not a ton out here. I think you just, supply, and if no one shows up,
then Mary and I just eat it over a month.
Yeah, then you got a lot of candy.
That's what's happened the last 3 years. Okay, so having the haichus, I say, no, don't throw a haichu, just eat it.
Yeah, don't throw haichus. Those were great.
I'm going to have to really hold myself back to not continue to eat them while we talk because they're just sitting right next to me.
I've got a handful here, and I just threw them away from me because otherwise I would have just just sort of absentmindedly grab one. Well, thank you for going through that with me, Ben. I guess I did think you also hadn't had any, but either way, I never had, and that was good. And I would highly recommend a haichu. Wilson Contreras, don't throw them on the field. They don't deserve it. They're good. The mango was the better one, but the grape was tasty.
I hope they trade him.
Well, this is some peak off-season content, I think, Hambone. Let's talk about the Cardinals,
Wow.
though. Um, all right. So, how do you want to start this? I mean, we're in the playoffs are happening,
Yeah.
but the Cardinals are not waiting as far as sharing some of what they're going to be doing, and Chaim Bloom is clearly in office. So, we've gotten more news, more clarifications since last week on some of what he wants to do and where this organization is heading. Can you give us sort of a breakdown of that?
Yeah, I'm going to paraphrase from a Katie Wu article that came out earlier this week on a section that I thought was interesting and at least worth you and I bringing up and discussing. But
Sure.
again, just paraphrasing good old Katie Wu at The Athletic. Newly appointed president of baseball operations, Chaim Bloom, plans to create a new leadership position to help manage the department. While the exact title is still being decided, the role is expected to be at the director level. A source clarified that this addition won't change the responsibilities of assistant general manager and scouting director Randy Flores. Rather, the new position is intended to create a clearer division between amateur and professional scouting, as the organization aims to improve its assessments of players and other teams. The move comes after internal frustration over recent trade outcomes, with the returns for Dylan Carlson and Tyler O'Neill mentioned as examples of missed opportunities. So to add to that context, it's really just like this article is talking about like what how Chaim Bloom is working right now, what he's focused on, the expanding of the front office team, and the fact that he plans to continue to have a large scouting staff and an analytics staff, and kind of have people like Randy Flores who are focusing on internal, and this new person, a director position of some type that will be focused on external. And I guess I think it's interesting because when you read that out loud or when you think about that, it kind of sounds like a big old duh. Like, of course we should have somebody who's
common
focused.
sense, as he would say.
Yeah, it's why wouldn't you have somebody who's focused on other teams' prospects or other teams' players? Like, I think that it's highlighted, or a recent example of a very, very extreme example of this working out well for the Brewers is you look at why can't Andrew Vaughn that they just plucked from the White Sox. It's been heavily reported that they just made a couple of mechanical swing changes. And I'm not saying they have their first baseman of the future or anything like this. Maybe this is just a heater. Maybe it's all things concerned. Maybe it's he likes the new ballpark. Maybe it's just not being a White Sox. Maybe it's all these things. I'm not saying that every team can just do this all the time, or obviously 29 other teams would have grabbed Andrew Vaughn. But having somebody focusing on those types of projects and working towards them, and then having somebody focusing on increasing returns for players like Dylan Carlson and Tyler O'Neill, it's very, very, very clear to me. And then the fact that we weren't focusing on that is very, very frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, all for adding more staff, adding a new director. Personally, I hope it's Paul Thomas Anderson. He's so hot right now, but we'll see who else is available out there. Marty hasn't done anything in a minute, but I'm wondering if they didn't have someone doing this. Does that mean they were relying primarily on the other teams to provide us with this sort of information when we went knocking? Or is it like, all right, we know the Red Sox want Tyler O'Neill. All right, let's scram. Like, what do they got? Who do they got? Like, and it's normally the internal guys are doing that only right then and there. And so they're not prepared and they have to make quick decisions because that's how the trade deadline and trades generally work. Where was this coming from? Either way, I'm just curious because regardless, like the answer can't be great because it seems like this is the only way to really effectively do that. So I'm glad to hear that they're doing that. And this just reinforces what we've known for years now at this point, but clearly what Chaim Bloom has identified and is working to solve is that the organization was understaffed basically across the board when it came to anything and everything around player talent. And so it's no surprise at all that we've not developed like a single like high-end major league player in a decade. I don't know however you define that.
Yeah, I'm sure that it was not as extreme as you laid it out there. I'm sure it was more of a thing of like, Randy Flores and team, they have boards of guys that they like from other teams and stuff like that. But maybe it's not somebody's full-time focus, which means it's harder to be fast and dynamic when things do come up or if opportunities present themselves. And just out of curiosity, like, going back and looking at the Tyler O'Neill trade, the Cardinals traded Tyler O'Neill to the Boston Red Sox for Victor Santos and Nick Robertson. Nick Robertson kind of, I think he might be on a playoff team right now, actually, but he's not with the Cardinals, and totally flamed out. And, he is a Blue Jay. Oh, wait, no, that was last year. He is not in the major leagues right now.
Okay.
Sorry. And then they also traded for Victor Santos, he put down a 5.5 ERA last year and is now in a foreign baseball league that I don't recognize. Dominican Winter League. He didn't play anywhere in the United States in 24 in 25. So anyways, obviously not a great return, especially for somebody who we thought was pretty valuable when healthy. And you can't, no one expects you to ace all of those trades. I'm not sure how much you really could have gotten for Dylan Carlson. But there's very few recent examples of the Cardinals crushing a trade, especially for young people.
Yeah. Matt Swanson maybe now as that is developed, but yes, I agree. And again, like you kind of just mentioned it, to be fair, like it was essentially like rock bottom sell lows on both Dylan Carlson and Tyler O'Neill, which was another extension of a different problem that the Cardinals have.
Right.
But I wouldn't have expected to get much for Carlson and O'Neill. I do think the upside they should have gotten, like the return shouldn't be out of baseball within 2 years or whatever.
Two players, both of them no longer major leaguers.
That is fair. They should have gotten something at least interesting for Tyler O'Neill, despite it was a sell low. He at least had a proven ceiling of MVP votes type guy.
And of course, he went on to put up a 131 OPS plus for the Red Sox that year. He didn't play all that much, but was a very productive player when he was healthy.
Yeah. So it's it's an obvious problem, and I'm glad to hear that they're fixing it. I guess the thing is, all these things take time, right? So this isn't going to create an overnight change in player development. But there are some things to look forward to from a player development standpoint. Do you want to get us into that?
Yeah, well, something, we've been down on the Cardinals for a minute, but something that is very exciting is that the Cardinals are tied with the Mariners for the most top 100 prospects right now. According to FanGraphs, they just updated their prospect list at the end of the season. They have 7. And I don't think there will be any surprises on this. Everybody will know these names, or most people will, but I'll read them in order. Number 9, these are all overall. Number 9 overall is J.J. Weatherholt. 19, Liam Doyle. 40, Leonardo Bernal. 71, Raniel Rodriguez. 77, Jimmy Crooks. 83, Quinn Matthews. And 87, Tink Hintz. And I think what is also very exciting about having 7 guys on the top prospect list, top 100 prospect list, is that we know that is a strength. Acquiring quality minor leaguers is a strength of Chaim Bloom. So letting him start with already at pole position, hopefully attracting more and acquiring more of these guys. And Nathan, I would say Weatherholt, obviously Crooks, Matthews, Hentz, and maybe even Doyle are all moderately likely to touch the major league roster at some point in 2026 and definitely 2027.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, this is the fun of being on a rebuilding team. If you're really into long-term development in baseball and seeing a team grow, this is the fun side of having a mediocre big league club, is having these lists and all these guys to dream on. It's fun to run through and imagine what is a rotation with Liam Doyle and Quinn Matthews at the top of it, and Tink Hence. It's a lot of fun. And this is, if you're into this stuff, this will likely be a major focus for this show over the next year as we talk about the long-term plans for the Cardinals. So I'm excited. And you mentioned the same thing that I was thinking is, like, what a good spot for Chaim Bloom to come in on. Like, if you're not taking over a winning team, you want to be taking over a team with a strong farm system. And the Cardinals seemingly have now a very strong farm system, which is something that we haven't said in a long time. And the problem, this isn't new to Cardinals, though. With the Cardinals, even in the last 15 years, have at times had what were considered very strong farm systems. The problem has been the graduation of that farm system, right? So I'm hopeful that this new organization, this new front office, is setting the standard, setting the pieces to make it where this strong farm system actually creates results and not just another string of log jams and what ifs and, oh, just give them a full season and we'll see what happens. That sort of thing that we've been mired in for 3 years now.
Yeah. Yeah. It also, I think, lays out a complicated future and or now decision that Chaim Bloom and the front office are going to have to figure out. JJ Weatherholt, Liam Doyle, Quinn Matthews, and Tink Hence. 3 of those 4 guys are pitchers. We can always use more pitchers. They'll find a spot, whether it's in the rotation or the bullpen. JJ Weatherholt, he's a top 10 prospect that plays on the diamond. We're going to find a spot for him. That's going to be no issue. But you have to evaluate and make decisions on these 3 catchers who have, various degrees of skills and bat to ball and defense, and the 3 catchers that are on your big league roster. With, is Ivan Herrera, it sounds like they're going to continue to develop Ivan Herrera.
Yeah.
We've talked about how good of a defender Pedro Pages is, but he's not a hitter. And then Pozo is a very confusing player that I don't really know how I would evaluate. So the Cardinals and Chaim Bloom, what do you do? Do you strike while the iron's hot? Do you trade a Leonardo Bernal, as he's a top 40 prospect and a young kid that seems like the sky's the limit, and go and try to find some pitching help or find a young outfielder or whatever else you think the Cardinals might need to add? Or do you sit on 6+ potential catchers? When do you start making that move? When do you make that call? When do you diversify?
Yeah. I imagine that at least one of these guys will be moved off catcher pretty soon. They're young enough. They're like, Riniel, from my understanding, he's a pretty good catcher. But his bat, he's flying up rankings. I've seen him higher on some other, more offensive focused rankings out there. It wouldn't surprise me if they just decide, like, all right, let's just let this guy focus on hitting, and we'll move him out to a different position and let that progress or something like that. But we've seen Chaim Bloom trade catchers before. You talked about it on last week's episode when their value was high. Maybe we see that. I imagine that we end up in a place where like Pages and Pozo are probably not long-term future catchers on the team, and we're solving between Herrera, Crooks, Bernal, that sort of thing. But that's just my speculation. It could go totally different because there are so many different options here.
If you had to guess today who the catching core to begin 2026, who do you think are the catchers on the roster? And for this exercise, let's assume we only want 2 this time around.
Interesting. I think based off of what they said and the ceiling we both know, Herrera is a catcher. going into 2026. After that, I think I would go Crooks over Pages. I think we're gonna see a Herrera Crooks combo, and I don't know what we do with Pages. He'll he probably should be on an MLB team. I mean, Kisner's still out there playing on a team. It's a similar mold, right?
Oh, well, no, I think let's be honest. I mean, Pages is a much better defender than Kisner in my
that's fair.
In my
that's
estimation.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I guess I was thinking like gets behind one every once in a while. Probably could have have a higher offensive ceiling if they ever got like long-term full-time starts, but that's just not going to happen. So I don't know. I guess Herrera Crooks, but it's a tough challenge. What do you think?
I that was going to be my thought is you probably Herrera Crooks. Pages is probably traded, and then maybe Pozo goes down to AAA and he is your Jimmy Crooks can't make any contact or something like that, because I think the general assumption is that Jimmy Crooks on the defensive side has been major league ready. He'll be fine there. And then the question is that good enough? And with Ivan Herrera assumingly hitting and playing a halfway decent enough catcher, is that fine? Can you just live with those two guys, or are you? Yeah. Well, I guess it really comes down to if you're desperate from offense for Jimmy Crooks, then we're having a bad time, and the season is extremely confusing, I guess. He should not be the offensive linchpin of any team the Cardinals have for the next couple of years. That would be that's bad roster construction. So, yeah, I think that makes sense. Probably hold on to Pozo, and I think you could probably get something, not nothing for Pedro Pages, because he is that good of a defender. He is that good of a framer. He's got a good arm, and like the vibes guy. Like there is who is more beloved in that clubhouse than Pedro Pages?
Yeah, which is potentially the argument for keeping him as your backup catcher. He is like the prototypical backup catcher, right?
Yeah.
Vibes guy when he takes an at bat, every once in a while he's going to get behind one and have a surprise dinger, double, something like that. And then when he's catcher, you're confident back there, regardless of the situation. Like that is the ideal backup. But I think teams that are looking for that are competitive teams. Right now, every spot is open. Every spot is available, and we should be chasing upside at every single at bat, even in whoever your timeshare is with Ivan Herrera. That is an opportunity to chase upside. And having a guy that we're confident in is steady is not really what we need right now. It's sort of the same argument as I've made for Alec Burleson. Like we know what we get out of him. We should be chasing higher upside right now. So is Crooks that? I don't know, maybe. But fortunately, there's 4 other guys in line if it's not Crooks.
Yeah, it's I think a decision is probably going to have to be made sooner than later.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'll be disappointed if they just kind of let it like slowly matriculate, and then we end up choosing the wrong outfielder or catcher or whatever that we've done in the years past. I really don't think Chaim Bloom is going to do that. At least he's signaling like he's not going to do something like that. So I'm not saying it has to be this offseason, but it's going to have to be relatively near future.
Yeah, there's an argument to say let's give this whole group a little bit more time to cook. This was a real blow up year for Rainiel and all of that. So like, let's go another 3-4 months to really see what we have with each guy and make the decision a little bit more confidently. But there's risk in that too. So, well, I guess this will be an interesting tell of what sort of front office this is and how they handle this sort of thing. This type of logjam at this level, as well as the logjam at the MLB level that has persisted for years now.
I do hope all these guys are exciting, but there is something about Raniel, just this little tank of a man that hits bombs. That is just very, I want that. I want that on the Cardinals, and whether he's catching or playing wherever, he seems like the most. There's just a lot to dream on, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
There is. And I also want to throw out again, I know I've been ringing the bell, but Joshua Baez didn't make it into that top 100 list.
Yeah.
But that guy, it's hard for when you have the type of season that he had coming out of the draft, it's really hard to get back onto these lists. But if I'm assuming he'll start in the minors in 2026, which he should. But if he continues to hit like he hit through the majority of 2025, then we will see him back on these sorts of lists. Or he'll get to the majors before the lists even get updated.
Right. And these lists are funny because I think like what you said, like recency bias is huge, and age, against the league that they're playing is very important. It's like I'm just looking at the list right now, and Spencer Jones, who used to be was like a top 25 or something like that, just by the fact that he was 24 years old in AAA, he hit a bajillion home runs this year in between AA and AAA. Plays for the Yankees, so he's got a billion eyes. He is 6'7", 240, this monster. He dropped in the rankings like by 50 spots, and it's not because Spencer Jones is any worse. It's just like all of those things added up. So like it doesn't mean necessarily that Baez or whoever isn't well regarded or isn't going to be great. It's just there's so many players who are dominating that they get scooted down the list.
Yeah. Well, and I happen to know a little bit about Spencer Jones. He's rocking like a 38% strikeout rate at AAA. So the concern there is, okay, yeah, when you hit one, you're hitting it real hard, but you're 4 years older than the average age and you're a monster-sized human. But if you're striking out at that rate down there, what rate are you going to strike out at the major league level? It's the big guy problem.
I see that. I don't think that that's wrong. I think that's totally fine, and I have no disagreement with anything you said. But I think Spencer Jones, when he comes up, is going to be very good.
I hope so. I mean, we like to see that, don't we, folks? But the one that I was a little surprised on the flip side too for the Cardinals, I'm kind of surprised Tink Hence is still on there. Like he really didn't have much of a season. Like he was good when he's out there.
Yeah.
But he wasn't out there very much. And I think the only reason he's still on there is that the dream of what we've seen he's able to do when he's healthy and the stuff that he has. But to me, at this point, he's on bullpen track, and that usually doesn't show up in these top lists. So I was a little surprised to see that he's still on there.
He's 23 now, which is crazy. But he only threw across complex league, A, high A, double A. He only threw 21 and a third innings.
I can't believe it.
25.
I can't believe anyone who threw only 21 innings is on a top 100 prospect list. Like no matter what the previous hype.
I think that shows you how good the changeup is. And if he can even be a 5-inning starter, he's going to be a strikeout monster, and that fastball slider changeup combo is going to get out guys on both sides of the plate. I hope that they continue to develop him as a starter. And
I do too. It's just it's everything that he's doing, the way it's been handled in injury, everything points to him ultimately being decided to be a bullpen guy. But you know what? You're injury prone until you're not. Every guy has had that tag at some point, and then they don't, and then they rip off 6 seasons straight of health, and then and we all forget about that.
I mean, the best pitcher in baseball right now, Tarek Skubal. He was like a glass cannon, and he's gonna win 2 back-to-back Cy Youngs now, and he's throwing over 100 miles per hour in the 7th inning of the playoffs. Like it is, like you said, he is. They're injury prone until they're not. And then I guess we have the only name we haven't really said is Quinn Matthews, and I think it is good to see him continue to be a top 100 prospect with his very weird season that happened this year. Obviously, he was the hottest thing in all of minor league baseball last year, just kind of thrusting himself onto the scene, scaling up levels, throwing over 140 innings, striking everybody out. This year, injured, he was able to start 22 games at AAA, only 94 innings. He was striking out over 10 people per nine, but he was also walking over 7 people per nine. So the
Yeah.
fact that the fact that he put up a 3.93 ERA walking that many people in AAA, maybe that tells the whole story right there. It's like, this guy is good. It's just, there were some injuries, but he did not know really where the ball was going last year.
Yeah. To me, this is more normal progression for any pitcher flying through the minor leagues. Like, you would love for him to have just, gone from nothing to this elite guy that the Cardinals just plug into their rotation, which happens like once a year for a team. It seems like someone just pops up with this guy and all of a sudden they have this guy. But that's not how it normally goes, right? And this year, while not a success from that standpoint, is still a success from a development standpoint. Another full year, a little bit of injury, but the toughest level he'd ever pitched at. Still some very good metrics underlying. Obviously, some things to work on, but I'm still a believer in Quinn Matthews long term. What this does to me is it maybe takes his ceiling down a little bit from, like, we were thinking Quinn Matthews might be a like ace type guy to maybe now he's like a 2 or 3, but even still, you need all those guys.
Yeah.
And a 3 that you have control over for 6 years is very, very valuable. We're not used to having just like good starting pitching that is just consistent and there every time and is controllable for a long time. Like,
I was just going to say, and young. Somebody
yeah.
under the age of 30.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you have Liam Doyle getting the types of write-ups that he's getting, having only thrown like 3 pitches in professional baseball, if Quentin Matthews, if he can be a 2 or a 3, you acquire a 1 or a 2, or Liam Doyle turns into a 1 or a 2, you're feeling really good about your rotation very quickly.
Yeah.
I guess something worth bringing up, we're doing off-season chatter right now, Nate. It's okay. We can talk about this if you'll let me.
Proceed.
Is how many innings is Liam Doyle going to throw next year? He threw 95 2/3 for Tennessee. Then he threw a combined 7 in affiliated baseball. So, usually they try to add about 20-ish%. So that puts him around the 120, 130 mark next year.
Yeah.
I'm very curious of how high on them they are, what kind of what his stint at spring training looks like next year. I'm not saying he needs to be in Major League Baseball, but he is, a power pitcher who's as good as they get, who is healthy, who's been in high level competition. I guess the boxes he needs to check to get to MLB are, I think, only a few.
Yeah. The question coming out of the draft is, will his secondaries play? We know the fastball is going to play.
Yeah.
And so I think he'll start at a high level in the minors. Probably AA would be my guess. That's, kind of standard, but maybe they just throw him in at AAA and then we'll see. We'll see how the secondaries are cooking. What's he doing? What is happening at the big league level? And they'll make the choice. But I bet they don't rush him. There's no need to. I think he will pitch in the majors in 2026. It's not uncommon for a top 10 draft pick college pitcher to make their debut the following year, later in the year. But they don't have to. Not unless it's absolutely worth it for his development. So we'll see.
Unless the Cardinals surprise everyone and compete next year.
Wow. Yeah, sure. That'll happen. In May it will, and we'll all have a great time and we'll be saying the team is good. And then,
Yeah. Do you think it is what chance do you think the Cardinals have sitting where we are October 8th in 2025 of being anywhere near competitive in the Central next year?
I don't know how to percent chance that, but I'll say it's very, very unlikely.
Very, very unlikely.
Yeah, we're just going to need so many things to go right. And I'm a optimistic fan, but also I just don't see it happening next year.
Yeah.
I think there's too many gaps. But I don't know. If you want to play it out, sure. JJ Weatherholt comes up and is immediately a 4 or 5 win player. Mason Wynn is fully healthy. Bat takes a step forward and is a 6 win player because of his defense. They hold on to Nolan Gorman, and he keeps that walk rate up and improves his contact rate, hits 40 bombs. Wilson Contreras is healthy all year. Ivan Herrera has a 140 WRC plus for a full season of health. Like, all of those things. Liam Doyle's good out of the gates and is a starter. Sonny Gray doesn't get traded and is great. Matthew Liberatore is great. Michael McGreevy is a solid 3. Quinn Matthews excels out of the spring training, comes in as a number 2. Like, all of those things have to happen for this. Victor Scott takes a step forward and hits 275 with 50 stolen bases.
Did you see John Denton wrote an article, I think it was last week, about how Michael McGreevy wants to get better?
I saw that headline. I did not click on our good friend who once shushed me, John Denton. I did not click on his article. But you know what? I think you could probably write that article for every single player in MLB.
Huh. You think so? Do you think every single player
wants to get better?
Yeah.
Yes. Now, are they making effort at it? Are they, committing to that?
Oh, I see. Okay. That's a good specification there. Yeah.
Every player wants to get better.
Right. Yeah. But McGreevy does. So it's good to see that.
It is good to see that. And he has a path. There's a clear opportunity there. And he needs to really excel. So we love a John Denton, don't we, folks?
He's just so good.
Yeah. Hambone, you wrote the question, but I'm going to pitch it to you. Who's your MVP of the 2025 St. Louis Cardinals?
God, I don't know. Vibes, Pozo. Remember that time where I was at the game and he hit a home run out of Wrigley Field? And that was the only game we won that series against the Cubs, the Michael Busch Cubs. Geez, I would say my actual answer is another catcher. I would say Ivan Herrera, just because he wasn't there the whole time, but when he was, I think he was far and away the best hitter. He was taking the best at bats. He has legitimate power, and teams kind of had to look. Opposing teams kind of had to look at the Cardinals differently. And not even taking into account the fact that, like, the development, what this means for the future, all those kinds of things. When he was there, a per at bat basis, I think he was the most valuable player on the team and changed the look and feel of the lineup and the Cardinals. Especially, he went on 2 or 3 legitimate heaters this year, and that was just a good time. We're having fun, folks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when you factor in the long-term development of the team and our rebuilding nature, it's hard to argue against Ivan Herrera. For this question for 2025 alone, I think the answer is Sonny Gray.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, he led the team in FanGraphs WAR, which is, quite valuable. He was the best overall player on the team. But I also think about, ultimately the season was a losing season, but think of how different this whole season would have been if it was just a Sonny Gray gap. There was no other veteran there to replace him. We were just going without Sonny Gray. What would these games have looked like who even would have been that 5th starter? So this season would have been brutal from a fan standpoint, from an enjoyment standpoint. It might have been bad from a development standpoint if we're just having, if we're going deep into the minors and making some, if we're Drew Ramming it for an entire year.
Yeah.
It would have probably killed the bullpen, which was a positive from this season. We can go into 2026 feeling pretty confident about the bullpen. That might not have been the case if we didn't have Sonny Gray and we were going to the bullpen even more than we already did. He had a great season. It was a fun season to watch. 200 plus strikeouts, right at 3 xFIP, 3.9 or something like that. F4. Just a really awesome season that if we did not have him this year, this season would have been really rough in a way that I don't think any of us would have enjoyed. So that's why I go with Sonny Gray, but that is a 2025 alone assessment. If you want to take a broader, more valuable to the Cardinals as an organization, I do think it's probably Herrera.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just looking at the pitching leaderboard from last year. Sonny Gray, 20 innings more pitched than Andre Palante, who was the second lead, and had 3 more WAR than Palante in that time. Obviously led in strikeouts. His walk rate was under 2 per 9, which was really great. And there's like no numbers on here that really make you like scoff at. It's all legit. It's all, everything he did makes sense. He underperformed his ERA underperformed his advanced metrics. He had a 3.07 xFIP and was just awesome all year. Obviously got blown up more than a couple of times, but that happens. Another name I just want to call out as like a remember when we had that guy, was Phil Maton, and how important he was to the first half, or really right up until the trade deadline for the Cardinals, a guy that they got for essentially nothing. I think it was the only signing of the offseason, really. So it was the best signing of the offseason. But the fact that they did the thing, Nate, they went and got the really good guy. He performed really well, and then they flipped him. What more can you ask for? And he was just way better than advertised when he came over.
Yeah. Revitalized. I mean, he was already generally well considered, but there's a reason he went for only $2 million like at the start of spring training. So I know his 2 months with the Rangers was not perfect, but a lot of the underlying metrics stayed the same. And I imagine he'll be a pretty valuable commodity and free agent market this season for a team looking for a strikeout reliever.
For what it's worth, when he went to the Rangers, he had a higher strikeout rate, a lower walk rate, a lower FIP, a lower xFIP.
Well, there you go.
He just had some bad luck, is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Although he was this might tell everything you need to know. He was giving up only 0.23 home runs per 9 when he was a Cardinal, and that tripled to 0.78. So, I mean, I guess that's minute or minuscule anyway. So never mind. I don't know. Yeah, he was just really good this year.
Yeah, well, I think he got lit up a few games, got blown up with some dingers, and that elevated that, and I guess impacted the perception of his time at the Rangers as well. Because I had in my head he did way worse than that with the Rangers. So, but yeah, Phil Maton, good signing, and I wonder if we'll get more like that this. We've talked about this a bunch, but that's what we hope the Cardinals will do. A couple veterans that we can hopefully have good half seasons out of, and then trade for something just to continue to stockpile value.
Right.
We've got the AFL, Arizona Fall League, coming up. This is a fun little moment in baseball after the regular season is done. We've described it as a finishing school for prospects in the past. You get a blend of upstart, rising star prospects who put their name on the map this year, and this is a chance for them to get in the lights a little bit more and get some tough competition. And you've got players who maybe have made their MLB debut already or are near MLB ready, and teams want them to just continue to play and continue to get competitive at bats. So it's usually an interesting little series. It is an offensive environment. Players go out here and crush typically. So it's fun. It's fun to follow. Yeah. We'll follow it. Ben, will you run us down who the Cardinals are sending this year?
Yeah, we got quite the group. We have Chin-Wei Lin, Randall Clemente, Travis Honeyman, Darlin Saladin, Tyler Bratt, DJ Carpenter, Miguel Ugueto, I know how to say that, and then another catcher in the mix, Grayson Tarlow. Yes. And I will tell you, I'm excited. We'll track these guys and how they perform all AFL, but I'm very excited that Chin-Wei Lin is going to be there, the 6'7" Taiwanese fireballer. Just very excited to see what he looks like against some real competition. And Travis Honeyman, who had a really nice year in A and high A this year, and seems to be, there are some tools there, not super highly regarded across the industry right now, but somebody who the Cardinals obviously believe in, and who is only performed so far.
Yeah, probably the average Cardinal fan is not familiar with most of these names, but hopefully out of this, we start to see these names a little bit more. I've been ringing the bell on Chaewin Lin for like a full year now, so I'm excited to see him there. I just a 6'7" Taiwanese guy that throws 100 miles per hour is a fun profile. We didn't talk about
baseball players are getting so big.
Yeah, well, you know how I feel about that. We gotta get ready for 200 years from now when everyone's 8 foot tall.
We have to get ready for that.
We have to get ready. Our society is not ready. I'm ringing that bell too. I will be seen as a prophet. Hambone, anything else you want to? My AI immortal self will be seen as a prophet. Thank you very much. Anything else you want to talk about from the Cardinals before we move into the second half?
No.
Okay. Well, after this, we're going to have a guest who's going to compete against Ben in a little game. Wow. As mentioned before, it is the winner of the Bird Scored Fantasy Baseball League. And if you are interested in joining the Bird Scored and maybe joining our fantasy league or just hanging out with us and other listeners of the show in an online community that is a ton of fun, and I think informative and helpful, and just a nice place to go away from all the noise of other social media, consider joining our Patreon, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. Patrons of any level get access to that private Discord, as well as other things, early episodes and their shirts and stuff like that at different levels. So check it out, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. You can also support the show by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform. And of course, telling your friends, telling your family. I think it's a good time to get into the show. We'll be breaking down this offseason and talking about the future of the Cardinals. If you've got a family member or a friend who's interested in following the Cardinals at that level, recommend the show. Hambone, where else can people find us online?
Yeah, we're on all the socials. You can find us on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. You can listen to this show on Spotify as well. Make sure to give us stars or whatever you do over there on Spotify. You can watch this show on YouTube. You can look at us smack our mouths around filled with high chews on YouTube.
That was good. That was good content, I think.
Talking about birds.
People like
over
that
there.
Stuff.
People like that stuff. You can find all the podcast information. You can buy t-shirts, everything over at talkingaboutbirds.com. You can email us at talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. And of course, you can call us and leave a voicemail or send us a text message to 848-48-BIRDS. That's 848-482-4737.
All right, Hambone, before we get to the game and our guest, let's talk a little playoff picture. We are deep in the division series now. How you feeling? How you feeling about the playoffs so far?
The fact that the Cubs are down 2-0 to the Brew Crew is really, really good. Full stop. That's great. Seattle had a really nice game last night. I feel vindicated. That team is good. Their pitching is good. And seeing Big Dumper and everything like that keep going is really exciting. What has caused me the most consternation, and this series may be over by the time this episode comes out. We'll be watching Phillies Dodgers this evening. Is the Dodgers winning that game too? And I'm not sure how much of that you watch, but the fact that they can just win in the style that they can win in is frustrating. Not because I think they're breaking baseball or anything like that, but it's just like. It is. It's video gamey. It's like forced trades are on. It's like budget isn't on. It's the fact that the Phillies are mounting a comeback in the 8th and 9th inning. Nick Castellanos, who I think is a total doofus, by the way, but that doesn't matter. He kind of throws his bat at the ball and gets that little base hit and starts getting the wheels moving. and then the Dodgers can bring in Roki Sasaki to throw 100 miles per hour with the nastiest splitter that has ever been seen by man.
Yeah, he good.
Is annoying. I don't know. It's just like it's not that like I think that the Dodgers could lose. I don't think that they are like this unstoppable juggernaut Terminator machine. And Roki Sasaki could have gone in there and totally blown up because he has not had, the best year of all time. But just from like a aesthetic and mechanical viewpoint, it's like, oh yeah, good nice try, Phillies. Here comes a literal freak of nature, Jack Skellington-ass dude. He is a very angular man.
He is. Yeah.
Just cheeseburger that dude up. Yeah. So anyways.
Welcome to America. Get this boy some cheeseburgers.
That's what I'm saying. So hopefully the Phillies can make this competitive. I just for the sake of extra baseball and this series is, I think, one of the most exciting, or has the potential to be one of the most exciting series in the postseason. So love to see that go a little further than 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah. My pick, of course, for the World Series was Tigers and Dodgers. Not feeling great about my Tigers pick after that last game. I, of course, even when I made the pick, I said I think Mariners are probably a better team and have a better shot. But I picked Tigers preseason, and I wanted to stick with it. I'm very excited about the potential Blue Jays Mariners ALCS. I think that is like best case scenario from just like a fan base sort of thing. And I think it's, MLB won't believe this, but I think it's good for baseball to have those two teams be the one of two of them are going to the World Series. I think that's good for baseball, and I hope that's how it ends up. Especially, the Blue Jays are just crushing the Yankees right now, which is fun. I won't repeat everything you said about the Dodgers. I generally agree, even though they're my pick to win, kind of for everything you said. That doesn't mean that's what I want, but that's my pick to win. They just have elite options at every single choice, and in a small sample size series, like I don't know how you pick anyone else in the Dodgers with that fact that they can just, oh no, all right, we'll pull out Roki Sasaki,
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm glad the Cubs are facing elimination. That's just, I hate that it's the Brewers, but whatever. The Brewers are a good team. They've been good for a while. They deserve some success. I've held a grudge against the Brewers forever, mostly because of Ryan Braun, that Aladdin looking motherfucker. But he's gone. Wow. He's been gone for a while. So I'm happy with the Brewers.
I read his restaurant went out of business. He had a restaurant in the city of Milwaukee, and it went under. You have to imagine that the winner of the Dodgers-Phillies series beats the winner of the Central matchup, right? Like
I imagine so. The Brewers are a good team, and they've got their own high-end talent. And it's not a short series at that point, 7 games. Right. But I think the Dodgers will be a heavy favorite against whoever it is, and would be at any point. The Phillies were the one team that you're like, that's the team where like, they're not necessarily heavy favorites anymore. But after losing Zach Wheeler, also like, that was a big part of the Phillies stew that made them so terrifying, was Zach Wheeler at the top.
So the Mariners Blue Jays, if that's the ALCS, is that the latitude wise? Is that the highest?
What a good question.
The highest playoff series in the history of MLB?
It's got to be, right?
It's got to be. That's what I'm saying, Nate.
What about Where's Montreal in comparison to Toronto?
Has a Montreal Toronto or a Montreal Mariners? Did that ever happen? I don't know.
Toronto. Montreal's higher. I don't know. I bet if not, this is the top 2 for sure.
C70 is going to correct us as soon as this comes out.
He just knows that for some reason.
Just knows it. Yeah. But I guess one other thing to call out, and you kind of mentioned this, Vladdy is just absolutely on fire right now, which is really fun. That homer he hit in the Yankees game last night, he looked as comfortable at bat with the rock and swing that I have ever seen anyone ever. And he is facing high heat in the playoffs in New York. He just looked like he knew what was coming.
He good.
When he is locked in, he might be like with players who have their peak. Oh no, Judge is maybe still the best, but he is next level when he is fully everything is cooking.
I mean, him, Judge, and Soto, where you're just like, the pitcher is at the disadvantage in the at-bat is how you feel, regardless of the pitcher.
Yeah. That home run that Judge hit off the foul pole last night, I saw reports that was for a pitch that was 99 miles per hour and hit for a home run. That was the most off-the-plate pitch that fits those, that was 99 miles an hour and hit for a home run. Wow. So speaking of being at an advantage over the pitcher.
Wild.
Yeah.
All right, we got a couple items of league news. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, our dear friend of the pod, Rangers, have announced that Skip Schumaker is their new manager, which we kind of saw that one coming. What I did think was interesting is they gave him a 4-year deal. So
lock him up.
Bochy out, Skip Schumaker in. Seems like a no-brainer. Everybody loves Skip Schumaker. It makes sense and good for Skip.
Yeah, it was. You called it last week. This was not a secret. He's been in the organization for a while. They have a manager opening. Skip was highly successful in his short time as a big league manager. It was only a matter of time before he got another shot. And I imagine that both sides wanted to make it kind of long. Skip didn't want to deal with what he dealt with in Miami, and that was a strong enough track record for the Rangers to feel comfortable with him for an extended period of time. Of course, everything is fleeting. He could be fired, but I imagine that the intent is to give him that full time, if not longer. So good for Skip. For all those of us who've been Cardinal fans since his time, it's like he came up and people were like, this guy's going to be a coach, a manager. So
his name is Skip. I saw him at the mall one time, Nate. This is, this is the guy.
We love them all.
We do. It's nice for him to go from Miami and Peter Bendix and that ownership group, and then locking into a place like Texas that has Chris Young and ownership group that clearly wants to spend money, and it seems like a team that is going to do what they can to win and be competitive. It's essentially an exact opposite situation for Skip, which does make me happy because it seemed like he was getting accolades in Miami almost in spite of the organization and the team that he was managing. So it'll be nice to see. And I think you were kind of getting at this, but it wouldn't surprise me if Skip Schumaker is manager for the Rangers for a while going forward.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. One other thing I wanted to bring up, league's pretty quiet. It's really just postseason talk right now, but something that I thought was great in that I'm sure everybody's seen it at this point, the Tigers Mariners game. Mariners are up quite a bit last night. I think it was in the 7th or 8th inning. Cal Raleigh goes Oppo Taco. He's swinging from the left side, hits a kind of a backside homer, bounces into the bullpen, and the guy that catches it is wearing a dump 61 here, referring to the 61st home run, and Big Dumper is dump. The guy catches the ball off the bounce, sets down his glove, swaps his T-shirt, and he has another custom one that says dump 62 here. And I think this is my favorite thing I've ever seen a fan do at any game under any circumstances of all time. It was the fact that he was so prepared. He actually caught it. The fact that Cal hit a backside home run to him, and they were not at home. They were in Detroit. They weren't even at their home ballpark. Yeah. How did he? I mean, is this? It's just amazing.
I'm certain that this guy blew a genie wish on this sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's the only way this. What a dream outcome. The only way it gets any better is that if he actually hits number 62 over to him. But I mean, it's incredible. This is what dreams are made of. This is the best moment of that guy's life and everybody within 25 feet of him. There will never be a better moment for that guy. It's incredible.
And I know he was talking to his wife or his buddy or whoever, like, I got this funny idea. I'm going to make a shirt.
Yeah. I'm going to wear 2 shirts. It's incredible.
It is incredible.
It's truly incredible.
And Cal, when he found out about it, he was like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. But
they took a picture
anyways,
together.
Yeah. Good for Dumper. I am, I'm sure this happens to you, Nate, like when I'm out in the wild and stuff like that, or just talking to friends, they know that we're baseball sickos. And I think the thing I was reiterating this at when I was working in the office yesterday, somebody, asking me, and I was like, I think the number one thing I want out of these playoffs is for Cal Raleigh, the big Dumper, to be a household name. Whatever he needs to do or the Mariners need to do, I think America and baseball fandom at large will be better if people just know the name Cal Raleigh.
Yeah. He needs to take a big Dumper all over America. I agree. It's this sort of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
That makes that happen. So, it's Dumpers America.
Wow. Amazing.
Wow.
All right. That's all I got for league news, Nady.
All right. Joining us today, this is a first for the podcast. So, either we're setting a high bar here or somewhere in between. I think it was Brandon from the Bird Squad who suggested this because he wanted to do it, but he did not win. Instead, you did, John from the Bird Squad. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on your championship in the 2025 Fantasy Baseball League, which was, I'd say, about 90% competitive. How do you feel now, a couple weeks after your championship?
The wind's still kind of setting in for me. It doesn't feel real. Certainly a dream come true.
Yeah.
I've been living my whole life for this. So, it's
well,
couldn't be better, but great competition out there. All the way through C70 to everybody else. It was a fun season and really appreciate it.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. Ben's still kind of figuring it out, but
I made the playoffs, right?
You did.
I made the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely.
You did.
Yeah.
We had the same amount of success this year as Hambo and you and I, so I guess I can't.
Thank you.
Yeah. But John, as you discovered 2 weeks ago, last week, I forget when I said it on the show, this was a chance. If you win, you get to come on the show. I guess we'll do this every year, I suppose, unless some just total monster comes in and wins. But I put together a little game. I was thinking fantasy. Okay, got to do something fantasy related, and I'm going to debut a game called Fact or Fantasy. So here's the way this game is going to work. I have a line about the St. Louis Cardinals, mostly focused on the 2025 season. Okay, and you need to tell me, what is it, a fact or is it a fantasy? Okay, so basically true or false. But it's fact or fantasy because I'm good at naming things.
It's really good, Nate. It's really good. Yeah.
Thank you. So, John, you are our guest, and so I'm going to start with you.
All right.
Sonny Gray's 3.6 F.WAR was the best season by a Cardinals starter by F.WAR in the last 5 years. Is that fact or fantasy?
I am going to say, I believe Sonny Gray was a top 20 pitcher this year. And I'm trying to think whether or not the Cardinals have had a top 20 pitcher in the last 5 years. I'm going to say that's a fact.
This one is a fantasy. We forget about Adam Wainwright in 2021. Narrowly outpaced.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. He had 3.9, which was the best season of the last 5 years. Okay. Hambone.
Yes.
The Cardinals had only one 20 home run hitter this year. This was the first time this has happened in at least the last 25 years for the St. Louis Cardinals. Is that fact or fantasy?
So they only had one this year. This is the first time this has happened in 25 years. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
I am assuming the COVID year doesn't count.
Yeah, I should have said that. Yeah, COVID year does not count.
Oh my God. There's a year that Matt Carpenter, or was it Matt Holliday? Because there was that year that Matt Carpenter came up. He hit like 11 home runs, but like 55 doubles. I think there was one 20 or above, obviously, right? Not just 20 on the dot.
Yeah, this year they had only one player get to the 20 or higher mark. Has that happened at all in the last 25
I think
years?
this is a fantasy. I think this has happened in the last 25 years.
You are correct, Hambone. This happened in 2015. It was actually Matt Carpenter.
Is that the Carpenter year I'm talking?
Well, no, Matt Carpenter was actually the only one who hit more than 20 that year with like 28.
That's
or
what.
something
Okay.
like that.
Okay. There we go. I knew Matt Carpenter was involved. That's good.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Good.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah. Move on.
John, Cardinals starting pitching were top 5 in MLB in walks per 9 this year.
Okay. I'm gonna go with fact there.
That is
fact?
That is correct. You guys are tied. Yeah, they were 4th in walks per 9 this year. So we were just talking about on the episode, Sonny Gray really leading that one.
Yeah. What did we say? Sub 2, right? Yeah. He was fantastic.
Yeah. A small moment of a glimmer of hope for in the Cardinals starting pitching this year because pretty much everything else was rough. All right, you guys are tied 1-1. Hambone. The Cardinals were top 3 and outs above average in 2025.
Oh, geez. They definitely were at one point. And then Burleson happened and Walker and Newbar kind of had a down defensive year also. Nolan Arenado wasn't there for a long time. Mason Wynn stopped playing baseball at some point. I think that they fell out of the top 3. So I don't know how to. Do I say fact or fan? I lost my train of thought. So whatever the fantasy.
All right, fantasy. Yes, Hambone. Yeah. They were actually 4th in
holy shit. Okay, wow.
Above average in MLB. Okay. So you talked yourself into the right side of the answer there.
Wow.
All right.
John, heads up. He does that shit where it's right. It's so close that you can, just, you know.
No, that's, yeah.
Okay. John.
That's a little smile.
The Cardinals had 21 comeback wins this year. That is the most in the last 5 years.
That is the most in the last 5 years. Well, they were losing a lot this year, so there's some opportunity for that. Oh man. You said 21 come?
Yes.
On wins? Okay. I will say fact for that.
John, you got it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That is a fact. This is the most amount of comeback wins. I think that's what we were feeling in May and June as the Cardinals were really good. That whole it was Mazalek at the Blogger podcast day. It was like, this team never gives up. This team, fights. I imagine that it certainly feels like 20 of those 21 comeback wins happened before the All-Star break because I don't think there was a single comeback win in the second half of the season is how it felt, but I don't know. I've just got
and the bullpen was good too. That makes coming back a lot easier.
All right, you guys are tied, and I've got one more for each of you. Are you ready? Hambone. Nolan Arenado, fact or fantasy? Nolan Arenado eclipsed the 20 double mark, making it where he has now hit at least 20 doubles in every year of his major league career, except, of course, for 2020.
Based on just my feeling of the situation, that feels like a fantasy. But 20, I mean, it's not a ton. He played a decent amount this year. He's slow. He's more of a double into a single kind of guy.
That's a rough kind of guy to be.
Yeah, not great. I'm going to say that is a fantasy. I don't think he got to 20 doubles this year.
Hambone, he got 18.
Let's go.
So you are correct. John, this is it. Tie goes to the guest. We've established that rule in the past. This one is for all the cookies. Are you ready? There are no cookies,
Let's do it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So this is the one that is not based off of 2025. All right. Ozzie Smith was called the Wizard, not only for his brilliance on the field, but because he was also the first son of Eric the Swift, whose father, Balinor of the Nine Gloves, was a direct descendant of Amdir the Greyhand, who, of course, was cousin to Gandalf the White. Is that fact or is that fantasy?
I have not read his Wikipedia recently, but
Okay.
I'm gonna say fantasy.
John, you did it. You got
Oh, my
it.
goodness.
He is not actually a direct descendant of Gandalf the White. That was the hardest one, so I was
Did you write that?
Yes.
Okay.
What? Keep it on theme of the episode. That was AI Nate wrote that.
There you go.
It's fantasy. I had to get something fantasy in there. John, congratulations. This is what a champion looks like.
There's no tiebreaker. Come up with the tiebreaker question.
I
Come on,
wasn't
first to buzz in. First to buzz in.
Look at him
Come on.
just grasping, just clawing at a last-ditch effort
God.
here. Just please, Nate, let me win. No, John, you win the Bird Scored fantasy league, and now you beat Ben in this game. What a grueling test of knowledge and patience. John, congratulations.
Appreciate it all.
And thank you so much for joining us to play alongside. And thank you all for listening. That's going to do it for this week's episode. We'll be back next week, as always. Check out the Patreon. If you want to join John and the rest of the crew, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds and talkingaboutbirds.com for all your other links and everything. And we'll be back next week with another episode. And until next week, I'll say go Ozzie Smith, the Wizard. Yep.
Big dumper.
Talking about